should have remembered.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Partners in Crime. I'm Shawna.
And I'm Annie.
And today's episode, we are still in season 2, and we are talking about See Me. And so this episode, it's a little bit disjointed, I find, just in terms of like connecting the murder victim to the rest of the story. But the murder victim here is a psychiatrist. He's looking for a patient of his named Jeff Richter. And so it turns out, like, we're not really sure of the urgency for him to find him. I think he's concerned he hasn't been taking his medication. He's schizophrenic, this Jeff Richter. So he's trying to find him, and he actually illegally accesses Medicaid records to try to get some information on him. Next thing we know, he's in Central Park walking his dog. There's a flash of bright light, and then he ends up dead. And then in comes major case. So where does the story go from there?
To this kind of house called Garcia House.
Yes.
And do they take in just anybody, or is it mostly schizophrenics?
I think they claim to take in anyone, but it seems like they do have a lot of schizophrenics, including this Jeff Richter, who was staying there. And so what do they find when they talk to Jeff Richter?
I don't know. What do they find?
Well, he is schizophrenic, and so they actually originally suspect him of the murder because he was heard in public threatening, like, because the psychiatrist did actually find him, and this Jeff Richter said, it's all a conspiracy. If you ever come near me again, I'll kill you. So, of course, Deakins, just like always, just wants to kind of wrap it up in one day, and he's like, just try to make a case on this Jeff Richter. But what's the problem with making it stick to Jeff Richter?
Well, because he hasn't taken his meds, right?
Well, they're concerned he hasn't taken his meds because there's no record of it on Medicaid. But he tells them, no, I've been taking Geodin. And, Gorin kind of is an expert in schizophrenia because of his mother. And so he says, well, that's only been on the market for a year. So, like, he would only know about it if he was taking it. And then there's another problem with, he says, I don't go out at night. It's too dark.
Right.
And
so then, now we know it couldn't be him.
They figure out, like, he's wearing dark glasses, and so Gorin's kind of like, yeah, there seems to be something wrong with his eyes, and he says he doesn't go out at night, and then he looks at his socks, and he's wearing mismatched socks, like two different colors. And so then Gorin's like, where'd you get those socks? And he's like, at the mission. And then Gorin's like, lucky you found a matching pair. And Jeff Richter's just kind of like, yep. So he doesn't know that they're different colors. So Gorin's putting it all together. Okay, so sensitivity to light, color blindness. And he says the name of the condition. But anyways, he couldn't have committed the murder at night. So they're no longer looking at Jeff Richter. But then the more they kind of look into the Garcia house, they start to have suspicions there. So what are the problems going on with the Garcia house?
They say that they bring the people to, like, art therapy, drama therapy, all these different things. But the paintings aren't like what someone with schizophrenia would paint.
Yeah.
And, they probably got those at a garage sale, and then they follow them around in the car for, what was it? What therapy was it? Just like...
I'm not sure what it was that time, but they charge $50 a head for transportation.
Yeah. And they just drove around for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. So basically,
and of course Gorin and Eames are just wasting their time following them.
Well, Gorin and Eames are looking at the paintings in Garcia House, and they're just very, like, basic, right? And just kind of the stuff you would get at a garage sale, or maybe that would be in a cheap motel room. And they're like, oh, yeah, Emily LaCroix did this one, and, so-and-so did that one. And so Gorin makes a comment to Eames as they're leaving. He's like, my mother's roommate at Carmel Ridge is schizophrenic.
No,
And,
bipolar.
or bipolar, yeah. And, like, you know, she paints, like, bright blue apples and hot pink bananas. And then he also just kind of observes that, like, with schizophrenia, they tend to focus on the eyes. Like, the eyes are really prominent, or and there was none of that in the painting. So they suspect that, yeah, these people didn't do the paintings. And then they talk to some of them.
And then, like the Emily
Yeah,
LaCroix.
and what does she say?
The painting therapy is just painting walls.
Yeah, they're actually, like, doing unpaid labor, just painting, like, the walls of some business office, and yet Medicaid, the Garcias, are charging Medicaid for art therapy. You know, and then, drama therapy, they went to see, like, the taping of some pilot. Like, so... It's all a scam, basically, and really bad fraud.
But we're forgetting something. We're forgetting just the awesome fight with them and Carver. And
Yes.
Carver's like, we can't... It's just what one crazy man said. And they're just getting so mad. They're so mad.
Yeah, so they often do butt heads with Carver. And in this case, like, Goran and Eames are so mad at him. They walk out of the room. Goran, like, dismissively waves his hand.
That was Eames.
Oh, was it? Okay. And then Carver is just not really bothered by it. He's just kind of
Deakins is like, doesn't care at all. And I'm wondering, like, why they have that dynamic. Because, like,
well,
Goran and Eames do everything for them.
Yeah.
So I think they should take their word on it.
But
right?
I think that they want, on the show, it is called Law and Order, right? And so they have to have more elements of law. Like, compared to the regular Law and Order, there's way more law on that show.
Because it's like, it's split in half. But we
you
don't
know,
want to see any of that boring court stuff.
But Carver's there to remind us of sort of the legal requirements or the legal standard to make this murder charge stick. Because... yes, certainly it appears the Garcias may be guilty of fraud, but, you know, does that really connect them to this murder? So in the scene, Annie's talking about, you know, Carver's like, the ramblings of one, you know, mentally ill person aren't going to make a difference. And so then Gordon's like, well, what about 10 of them, you know? And so then Carver talks to them, and he's convinced. He's like, okay, you know, they were running this fraud scheme. Maybe this psychiatrist caught wind of it, was going to report them. And so now they're thinking maybe the Garcias had him killed. So they go in to arrest the Garcias. And, what is the shocking thing that they find?
That they have a really nice, like, room.
It's supposed to be really nice upstairs. So downstairs is where the residents live. And upstairs, it's sort of the way they talk about it, it's supposed to be this, like, palatial... like, just so fancy.
It doesn't
really look that impressive, but I guess, you know, Carver's like, am I seeing things? And then Eames is like, no, the faucets really are gold-plated. But then
they meet this guy, and he's clearly got eye issues.
Yeah.
He wants the light turned off. He can't see with the light turned on.
Yeah, so they're at the Garcia house. They're interviewing residents to try to sort of see where the Garcias were at the time of the murder. And so Goran's sitting at this desk. He's got this desk lamp on. And this poor man...
like, turn the light off.
He's, like, blinking and, like, clearly, you know, something's bothering his eyes. And so then Goran, like, switches off the lamp. And then the guy relaxes. And then he turns it back on.
Why? You can see without the lamp there. I mean, sure, I'm telling you.
Okay, test your theory, but don't leave the lamp on. Like, when the guy's just, like, blinking and clearly in so much discomfort. So then Goran's like, why do all of these residents have eye issues? Like, Jeff Richter, when they talk to that Emily LaCroix, she's, like, squinting at them. What is happening here?
So they find out that they change up the doctors and, like, the everything every so often, but they haven't changed the eye doctor in a really long time.
Yeah.
And so then they find out that the eye doctor actually came to the Garcia house asking about their work with schizophrenics and offered his services.
Yeah.
Which is suspicious, right? Like, it would make sense if he was like a specialty, if it was like a specialty for schizophrenics.
Yeah.
But because he's not, and these people are clearly like have eye problems because of his work, that's bad.
So they go to see this eye doctor. He's quite rude.
Oh, I love this scene.
Like right off the bat, they notice a couple Van Gogh paintings in his office. And so Goran's like, oh, like the paintings, do you just do this to whatever, like test your patient's vision or something? And then the doctor's like, no, I put them up to invite ridiculous questions. Like he's just really kind of...
And so I love this scene because I think it really captures Goran and Eames' dynamic. Mm-hmm. Because Eames is just, like confronting him with these papers.
Yeah.
And Goran is in the background just like playing with this. I just love his hyperfixation on this eyeball.
Yeah, Goran's like a kid at a candy store, right? Because there's all this eye equipment there. And in particular, this like large-scale model
of an eye. And he's so happy to have it. He's just so excited about it. He's like showing it off to Eames. And then the doctor takes it away from him, and he's so upset.
Yeah. But he's
like
sitting in the chair, like, and the doctor's like, that's an $80,000 piece of equipment. Like, don't touch it. But then while they're there, Goran's like, oh, what's this? It's this thing. And it's actually kind of a light that you shine in.
No, remember, he was missing the light.
No, he was missing the holder for the light. So, what ended up happening, remember we said at the time of the murder there's this bright light, and actually witnesses, like people that were at the park during that time, the one guy was like, oh yeah, I was jogging, but then I went home because there was dry lightning. And then they looked at the weather report and there was no reports of any dry lightning. So they figure that that's what the murderer did, is they flashed this bright light in the guy's eyes to sort of disorient him and then killed him. So now they're thinking, okay, it has something to do with this doctor. And Goran's like, yeah, maybe his got damaged in the attack. He had to replace it.
And so, of course, they go to, like, a medical store and buy their own.
Yeah.
Why? Nobody knows.
Well, and we were sad that we didn't have the scene of them in the medical store because, we expect they would have pretended to be a married couple. They would have been, like, pretending they have a kid that has eye issues and they're asking all these questions about the equipment. But, there just wasn't time, I guess. So Carver gets sort of a expert doctor to examine the schizophrenics at Garcia House. And it is like very, very disturbing, the damage that has been done to these people's eyes. They've had multiple cataract surgeries that were unnecessary. There's scars over scars.
Like he just didn't wait until operating on
some of them
again.
have like permanently detached retinas, are legally blind in one eye. So they're sort of like, what is going on here? And they think, well, it must
butchery.
be... it's butchery, but for what? And so they're thinking, well, it has to be greed, right? Because that's the whole scam, that they're charging Medicaid, for all this work. So they're thinking, so he's just lining his pockets, and the schizophrenics they're victims because they're not gonna complain about it. But then they talk to his accounting clerk, and she's like, oh no, he could really care less about the Medicaid receipts. He's always late
and
getting
then
them
don't we
to
have
me.
that wonderful scene where Goran is just like, or no, it's a different scene where he's also just harassing this poor.
When they go to actually see the office of the psychiatrist, so then they're sort of like, he seems kind of indifferent to money. Like, so what is he doing it for? And then they go to visit, sort of like a colleague, like someone he went to school with, just to sort of try to find out, like, what is motivating this guy? Or, well, for Goran, like, what's the profile? What's his background? And so they go to this guy's office. He's an oncologist who went to medical school with the eye doctor. And he's like, oh, yeah, I lost touch with him. He went on a sabbatical last year, and then, I lost contact with him. And Goran's like, well, he's an ophthalmologist now. And the guy's like, really? Like, weird. So then while they're there, they see this...
Nope.
Yeah.
It's not that one.
It's not this picture, but it's like they see, it's around this size, a little picture of Van Gogh. Except I believe it's the famous one with the bandages, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's a self-portrait of Van Gogh. And so Goran, of course, has to pick up everything and is like, oh, it's from the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. And then the guy's like, yeah, he sent me that. It's the last I heard from him. So now Goran's trying to piece it all together, that something must have happened in medical school. He goes to Amsterdam. He is staying at the hotel on the same street as the Van Gogh Museum. It has something to do with Van Gogh. And so then
We
Goran...
should just mention that we're just kind of Van Gogh freaks.
Well, that's probably why this made Annie's top 10, because we really like Van Gogh and, you know...
We have our cups and our phone cases.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite Van Gogh work.
Yeah.
Her teapot back there.
Yeah, you can maybe see the teapot.
She's got how many paintings?
I've got paintings in my place. These little tea boxes.
So
all we're saying is that just because someone seems to have a preoccupation with Van Gogh doesn't mean that there's something
there's
wrong
like
with
medical
them.
Malpractice involved or something.
Or that they need to be dragged off to Carmel Ridge, you know? Like, Van Gogh is a very great artist. But anyways, there's this really good scene where, like, Goran's at his chair, Eames is sitting on his desk, and Goran's, like, looking through this book of Van Gogh.
That is my Criminal Intent playlist cover.
And so then he kind of stops on the page of that self-portrait where he's bandaged. And, you know, the story is, as you probably know, Van Gogh cut off his own ear. And there's different theories as to why he did that. And so Goran's kind of sitting there, and he's telling Eames the story. He's like, yeah, a lot of people, like the official story is that he cut off his ear and gave it as a token of love to this prostitute. But then, you know, he himself, Van Gogh, suffered from schizophrenia. So it's a really good moment of kind of the music playing. Goran's deep in thought. He's like touching the picture. And then it comes to him. And so now they're going to talk to the doctor again. And so why has the doctor been doing this butchery? What is going on?
He himself is schizophrenic, and they mentioned this kind of mentality with the first guy,
with Jeff Richter,
that like it's backwards thinking.
Yeah.
So if it's like the example they use is, if only sick people take medicine, so if I stop taking my medicine, I'm not sick.
Right.
And so his kind of theory or something is that if he cleans the lenses, just like how Van Gogh kind of cut off his ear to stop the auditory hallucinations.
Right.
If he like cleans his eye or something, then he won't have these hallucinations.
So Goran figures out that's where he got the idea. When he was in Amsterdam, he must have heard the theory that the real reason Van Gogh cut off his own ear was in an attempt to stop the auditory hallucinations that he was suffering. And so then obviously this doctor has maybe been having visual hallucinations, and like that's another symptom. And so he thinks, oh, just like Van Gogh removed the ear, I can remove the corrupted part of the eye, or like the lens, and that will solve the problem, which is like crazy, right? And so it turns out...
I would just like to mention that Goran finally gets his eye.
Yeah, and he actually has a reason to use it. So what is it?
And he's so happy. He's just like playing with it during the interrogation.
Because the great thing about this eye is that it comes apart, right? It really is like a toy. And so then Goran's like, you know, just leading him on. His doctor's like, or his lawyer's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't say anything. But then Goran's like, okay, explain your theory to me. Like, you know, because Goran's kind of goading him, like, no, he's just a butcher, you know, it's just a chop shop. And then that's infuriating him. And so he's like, okay, fine. So what are you trying to do? And so then it becomes clear that, yeah, he really believes that it is just not a mental disease, but that it is like a physical problem, that the information is being corrupted, either like through the ear, through the eye, and he's just got to fix that. And so that's what he was doing. And why did he kill the psychiatrist? Like, just that he was kind of gonna, ruin his plan, because he talks about like, oh, I need to find someone who's completed the treatment. And right before they arrest him, this poor girl, like he's about to do yet another procedure on her, thinking he needs to cure someone. If he can have a success story and cure someone of schizophrenia, like then it's all good, right? And so this psychiatrist was kind of looking into what was going on and maybe would have sabotaged that. So it's a really interesting story.
They catch him, though. I mean...
And they do catch him, and he ends up pleading guilty due to mental defect, and he's going to be institutionalized. And meanwhile, what happens to the Garcias?
Well, they get shut down.
They get shut down. They're going to go to jail for all these counts of fraud.
But it's like, I feel so bad for these people.
Yes.
Like, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Well, and I think, like, it really affects Goran because this doctor actually seemed perfectly normal and functional, right? And has been kind of going through life as a professional and yet is really, like, mentally ill. And so then how does the episode end?
He's calling his mom.
Yeah, so then Carver's all like, okay, like giving Eames sort of the wrap up, here's what's going to happen. And then he's like, where's Detective Goran? Just wait for the bird. It's a long one. And so then we see Goran on the phone and he kind of looks upset. And of course he's like overacting a little bit, And then Eames just says like, don't ask. And what do we know is happening?
He's calling his mom.
Yeah, that obviously this interrogation made him think of his mom. He's probably going to rush off to Carmel Ridge to
He does.
See her. Because we see him leaving and
grab his jacket.
Yeah, so a really interesting episode. Kind of an interesting showcase on that mental illness. Lots of love for Van Gogh. So we really like it. And so, Annie, as we move to our segments, what is your award of the Emmy for overacting?
We kind of skipped this scene, but there's a great scene where they're talking to the secretary. And once again, it's just a great showcase of
so
Goran
this is
Eames.
The secretary of the psychiatrist, the murder victim.
Because Eames is just on the computer asking questions, and Goran is just... Like, I don't know why he does it. I don't know why he has to touch everything and see how people react. And if they react badly, just take it a step further.
Yeah.
He's in her space, and she's, like, trying to grab things back from him.
It's really something. Like, she is very, very protective. And I guess it's because of the patient-doctor confidentiality, right? That she's, like, really concerned. But I think at the beginning there was a bit of a suspicion the psychiatrist may have been having an affair because like his wife said something about him being gone a lot, when really he was just trying to see what was going on with this Medicaid scam. But then Goran's like kind of having this weird confrontation with the secretary where they're actually playing like tug-of-war over some file. And Goran's like, oh, you probably like went on the computer and deleted all of his like dirty pictures and secrets. And Eames is like, or maybe her own like dirty, like this poor woman, she didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, that is some great overacting by this secretary. And then that's how when they do get into the psychiatrist's computer, they figure out that he hacked into the Medicaid files. So I think that's a good choice. Another contender would be Mrs. Garcia.
Oh.
Because there's this really good scene where they come upstairs and like we're supposed to be all like, whoa, this room, so beautiful. And she's standing there and like they arrest her and she's like, I am Lupe Garcia. Like it's just really funny.
It's like, why would you say that when you're being arrested?
Yeah. Yeah, so those are our...
Why would you say that in general? Like nobody...
Well, because, like, they're considered to be heroes in the community, right? And like, they have all of these letters of accommodation and, like, awards for public service. When really, they're just scammers. Once again, taking advantage of the system. Although, I guess, like, if it wasn't for the horrible damage to their eyes, there wouldn't have really been any harm to the residents, right? Like, so fine, they're not getting art therapy and they're not, but it's not really hurting them. But yeah, what a scam. Okay, so those are our Emmys. And then you may have already kind of told us, but what is your Goran moment?
My Goran moment is his, eye.
The whole
fixation.
thing with the eye, yeah.
Because he does just seem like a little kid. He's so excited about it.
Yeah. I would say probably when he's in the eye doctor's office. And I think sometimes, just like on the show Columbo, sometimes Columbo will always be like, oh, just one more thing. And he's probably doing it deliberately to sort of ramp up the anxiety and the stress of the suspect, right? That they think, oh, I finally got rid of him. But then it's like, nope, just one more thing. And I think sometimes Goran does something similar in that he does this behavior almost to kind of test the person's reaction. And the more upset they get, maybe the more suspicious Goran is. So right off the bat, he's just playing around with this equipment. And it's just very quintessential Goran. I also like his interactions with Jeff Richter, though, and I think that's another good, like we've talked about, he's very good with people with mental illness. He knows how to understand them and sort of talk to them at their level. So that was a nice scene. And then at the end, to me, that's the level of personal detail that I want, is just a little bit, right? We see Goran on the phone with his mom, and that's all we get. I liked it when the show just kind of kept it kind of at that level. Yeah. And do you have a Eames one-liner?
Yeah, probably where's my chart?
It's in there.
Don't worry, I'll find it. But
well, this gives us a better view of the Van Gogh teapot.
Right.
As you're doing that.
I can't find it, Shawna.
All right. Well, no, I
didn't.
It's just
so mad at you.
Misplaced.
This is not okay.
Okay, come back.
I'm so mad right now.
I can probably find the chart, but for the...
Anyways, for the Eames one-liner, I'd say either the don't ask at the end, because she does get, the final... Oh, did you find it immediately?
Yeah, it was right there.
Oh! Okay, right. Today we have...
Okay, you're going to have to hold it up a
our
little closer.
Eames representation scale.
Mm-hmm.
And we have... I think it lands... around here. So, pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good. Because we get to see her hat.
Mm-hmm.
And, lots of... I actually got a lot done on my... I can just screenshot it and then we'll edit it in. But I actually got a lot done on my Eames bingo card.
Yeah.
So I say, for representation, pretty good. That's my take on it. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of one-liners necessarily, but just, just the sassy Eames that we love to see, but also...
And that great storm out.
Yeah.
So...
And it's usually more Goran and Carver that have the conflict, but this time, Eames
is pretty worked up.
And Eames was really outraged by the scam. It obviously really bothered her that these Garcias were taking advantage of these mentally ill people for profit. So, and then, of course, I love the unspoken communication between Goran and Eames anytime we have that. So when they're at the Garcias and they're looking at the paintings and you see them just sort of glancing at each other, and Mrs. Garcia's it's just this random painting at the beach. Today it would be an AI painting probably, right? And she's like, it's just so full of life. And then Goran and Eames exchange glances and Goran's like, it's definitely full of something. And so I just love that they don't even have to, they communicate without words. And that Eames is so in touch with Goran, right? Carver doesn't understand where he is and why he's on the phone, why he's upset. But without even being told, like, Eames knows that, he's talking to his mom, and that whole case has sort of triggered a lot for him. So she's a very sensitive partner in that sense. For all of her kind of toughness, mm-hmm. she's really very sensitive to her partner, so it's great. Okay, what about the fashion call? This is actually a great episode for fashion.
So, like, right off the bat, we get Eames in her, like, toque, and I love when they're outside.
Yeah.
And it's winter, because we don't actually get that a lot. Like, you'd think we'd get it more.
And it really is cold out, so I just kind of like the realism of it.
And it's dark, so it's actually, like, we don't see that a lot. Mm-hmm. Usually the crime scenes are in day.
Yeah, right.
But this time it's not. And Carver is also wearing his prized fedora.
So it's a good day for Carver because he gets to wear his fedora.
What do we think about the fedora? Do we like it, or do we think it's a little...
For him, like, in his stature as an ADA, I think it's great. And he's got a little bit of flash, wears the fedora. But then it's weird. It's almost like he's so enamored with the fedora that he keeps it on when they go inside the Garcia house.
Because everybody takes off their jackets and stuff. He's so proud of it. He's so proud.
But Eames is a real standout. So I don't know who was in charge of wardrobe for this episode, but I love it. She's got a couple great outfits, and I can't even really choose which one I like the best. She's got like a black collared shirt. It's like pinstripes, kind of a V-neck, very, very flattering. But then she's got this just beautiful, another pinstripe, I think more of a brown, maybe?
It's more gray.
More gray, but really nice blazer. So just, Eames looks fantastic in this episode. And so maybe this is a good time for your art.
My art is, of course, like, we have the outfit, we have, like, the papers, and him and his...
So put it a little closer to the screen so everyone can see the eye. There we go.
He's so happy.
Yes.
So...
Yeah, so that's our fashion call. On this podcast, like on our Lost Cause podcast, we would always have the shout out. We don't really do that here because we already have like so many segments.
Many segments.
But we are making a bit of an exception this week. And so just a shout out to these mugs. They are Macintosh brand mugs. And really beautiful. I have actually several sets of these. So this is the Van Gogh set. I've also got some coffee mugs as well that have like Starry Night. But then other artists too. So I think I've got some Group of Seven, some Da Vinci, I think. But anyways, and really just very elegant and nice. So I've had these for years.
So now that we're on the topic of Van Gogh, I'd like to share a story from last semester that I was like on a roll for just like criminal intent knowledge, because I had this teacher, and I won't name her, but she was very misinformed. Just like, I don't know, she thought that Mick Jagger was one of the Beatles, mm-hmm. and I choked when that happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, for example, one time she said that like we were supposed to make like fish scales, and she's like, now what could have fish scales? Could a shark have fish scales? And I was like, nope, sharks don't have fish scales. And that's one from Criminal Intent. Mm-hmm. But then this one, I was like, because it's already kind of crazy how much she's like, I've had to correct her. But then like she was my art teacher, so we were learning about Da Vinci, mm-hmm. and I don't know how she got him mixed up with Van Gogh. Wow. But she was like, and remember, he cut off his ear. And I was like, no, that was Van Gogh. I didn't even raise my hand. That was Van Gogh. She was like, no, it wasn't. And I was like, search up Van Gogh self-portrait. And she did. And sure enough, he's got like the bandage around his ear. And then I got to tell the story of like why he cut his ear off.
So this is the educational value
pays off.
of Criminal Intent. It's true. I mean, and it's just a little sort of background piece to the story.
But, like, you're an art teacher. Yeah. You should know this.
Like, get your facts straight, you know? Well, seeing
she thought Van Gogh had dementia.
Well, seeing how we are talking about Van Gogh, and you showed your phone case, can you just show it one more time? I have to, like, I can't waste this opportunity to talk about this painting because, now, I didn't come up with this. Someone else did. And you can put it down. I'll put, like, a better one on the screen. But the painting is actually The Last Supper. Actually, hold it up one more time. So there's 12 patrons. Mm-hmm. Jesus is the server, right? And then we even see Judas in the background. So that just like blew my mind when I read that theory that actually this very famous painting is The Last Supper. And now every time I see it, well, I have it in my hallway. I have one in my office. And anytime anybody comments on it, I have to tell them, did you know that it's The Last Supper? Because I just think it's so cool. So we're just about out of time.
No. I still have to say my great accomplishment. It didn't even take that long, but I finished Moby Dick.
Oh, yes.
I finished reading Moby Dick, and the entire time I was like, when is this gonna get interesting? But I just had to power through, you know, for her, for Nicole. And actually, I was 480 pages in, and I was like, this is like the 100th chapter of just sea. Mm-hmm. And I searched up, when do they capture
you just want
Moby
to kind
Dick?
of know, like, how much longer?
They don't. They don't. And so I was like, I only have 200 pages left. I'm going to finish it, and I did.
But she was very close to giving up when she learned there's not even going to be a payoff.
But it's more poetic that way.
Well, yeah, because that's kind of the whole point, right?
But it's like, at least make it, like, worth reading. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm reading some ancient text. Well, I kind of am.
But I mean, Annie did more than make a dent in Moby Dick. She finished the whole book. And so I think that Professor Hitchens, had she not had to flee Hudson University, would have given her an A.
Do I remember any of it? No. But I read it.
But, you know, when I think about it, I wouldn't actually want to be the teacher's pet, like, in her class. And it kind of raises questions of, like, oh, like, would you really want an A, like, a good mark from her? Because then it's this weird sort of strings attached. Who knows what's going to come of it?
Why do you think that?
Well, I don't know. I just don't know if she can do anything without it being some kind of manipulation or, like, I think she would kind of pick out someone in the class that she could exploit or use or... Anyways, congratulations.
Fine by me.
So we'll just finish off briefly talking about, well, you can say, because this was in your top 10, why is this in your top 10?
Because of the Van Gogh. Like, I have a problem that I think was passed down from my dad about eyes, like, and about eye surgery.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, honestly, if it weren't for the whole Van Gogh aspect of it, it probably wouldn't be in my...
I'm kind of surprised that we didn't have a scene of, like, Eames being super squeamish.
Yes.
Like,
it seemed like Carver was more squeamish at it.
I didn't like looking at the pictures of the eyes. And, like,
How do you think they got them?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're real. But, and then, like, when he's about to, like, do more surgery on that poor girl, like, then they burst in right before. But I was, like, very uncomfortable. But I like this episode as well because of the Van Gogh references. I think it's just a really interesting idea about, you know, him cutting off his ear to, like, cure the auditory hallucination.
That seems more realistic than cutting off for a prostitute, you know?
You know, it's interesting, though.
Because isn't that why he killed himself? Because of his schizophrenia? So he would have been trying to stop it.
But then some people, like, so he did die of a gunshot wound, and like the theory is that he was in a field and shot himself in the chest. But then now there's also a theory that he was accidentally shot by someone he knew, by an acquaintance. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding Van Gogh just because it was such a long time ago. But we do know that he was institutionalized, and that is where he produced many of his most famous works, was in the institution, like Starry Night. I have a painting in my kitchen of this tree, and it is just kind of this brilliant yellow color, very sort of surreal, and that apparently was what he could see from his window in the institution. So yeah, I like the Van Gogh touch, but I also just find that it's an interesting exploration of, you know, mental illness. We get a bit more background. This is the second time that Goran talks about his mom being at Carmel Ridge. And that just is such an important piece of understanding Goran, right? And kind of his relationship with his mom. So, yeah, I think it was a very well done episode and definitely deserved to be featured in our podcast. So thank you for joining us. Next week we'll be back with the episode called Probability, which kind of is another sort of look into mental illness in a way. But...
And we'll have a story for that one tomorrow. Next.
Because actually, so next week we are going to be in Calgary for the expo. We broke the sad news last week. No Cookie Kaspari. She has canceled, so doesn't really have, you know, the same meaning it did. But
I'm actually so upset. Like,
there is someone...
Am I ever gonna meet her?
There is someone who appeared in Criminal Intent that's going to be there.
Who?
That, like, DJ Squalls or whatever his name is. Anyway. Yeah. But still...
significance.
For if we have any crossover audience from our Lost Cause podcast, you know, we'll be very excited.
AKA my parents. That's it.
No, we have more subscribers than that. In any event, we'll probably be doing an update to that podcast after we meet 3 cast members from Lost. So,
woohoo!
Yes, exciting times. And we'll let you know if Annie's reunited with Roger.
Right.
So, lots to report back on. But for now, thanks again, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye.